Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to work on a new skill, adding 10 to a 10-digit number, subtracting 10 from a 2-digit number. Let's read our I can statement together. I can mentally find 10 more or 10 less than a 2-digit number without having to count. Now, I'm going to highlight this word without. And the reason I'm highlighting this word without is because I know we're very good at counting up. We're very good at counting back. We worked on this a lot, mainly at the beginning of the year. But today we're going to work on adding 10 to a number and subtracting 10 from a number without having to count. We are going to practice counting, practice using a 120 chart to help us add 10 to a number and subtract 10 from a number. Let's look at the ones column. The number starting with 1 in the upper left-hand column. Let me highlight that for you. So I have the number 1. Now I see 1 is a 1-digit number. There's a 1 in the ones column. There are no 10s. But look at the number 11. There's a 1 in the ones place, there's a 1 in the tens place, which makes the number 11. What if we added one more number in the tens column? Then we're going to have the number 21, 2 tens and 1 1. What if we added another 10 and we're going to add a number in the tens column again, and we have the number 31, 3 tens and 1 1. Let's continue this pattern and count adding tens to each number. So if we add 10 to 31, we have 41. If we add 10 to 41, we have 51. Add 10 to 51, you have 61. And let's keep going. Then we have 71, 81, 91. So by adding 10, we're just adding 1 in the tens column. You can see a pattern. We have 1, 11, 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 71, 81, 91. I wonder if this pattern would work if we used a number in a different column. Well, let's start with the number 7. And again, this first number at the top of the chart that I just highlighted, you see the number 7, and there are no 10s, so we just have 7. But what if we added a 10 to 7? And we have 17. But if we add another 10, we have 27. Let's add another number in the tens column, and we have 37. Let's continue adding tens and counting the pattern. We add 10 to 37, we have 47. We add another 10, we have 57. Add another 10, we have 67. Then we have 77, 87, 97. So even with the sevens column, when we add 10 to a number, the number in the tens column increases by 1, where the number in the ones column remains the same. I want you to pause this video, try this out with numbers in other columns, and see if you recognize this same pattern. And good job on recognizing the pattern on our 120s chart. Now, let's look at some numbers in a grid, and we're going to practice adding tens to numbers and looking at them in different patterns than they appear on the 120 grid. So let's look at this word problem. Corey had a grid that he decided to fill in with numbers starting with 48 in the bottom corner. He used a pattern when moving to the right. Well, let's see. This first grid we see, Corey started with 48. Let me circle that for you. And let's look at the next grid. He started with 48, and we're going to highlight these numbers just like we did on our 120 chart. He started with 48, and then he went to 58, and he continued going to the right, and he had 68. Wait a minute. I think I see a pattern. Do you see the pattern, boys and girls? Look at the number in the ones column. The number in the ones column, we have 8, we have an 8, and we have an 8. That number is staying the same. But look at our number in the tens column. In the tens column, we have 4, Then it increases to 5. So wait a minute, we just added 10. 48 plus 10 is 58. I just added 1 to the number in the tens column mentally without having to count. Then we have 68. Wait a minute, I see that pattern. The number in the ones place stayed the same. We have an 8, an 8, and an 8. But look at the number in the tens place. We have a 4. We increased by 1 to 5, so 48 plus 10 is 58. Then we increased another 1 in the tens column to 6 tens, so that makes 68. So, I wonder what is going to be our number if we keep going to the right. 48, 58, 68. We know there's going to be an 8 in the ones column. And look at the 10. 4, 5, 6, 7. So that number is going to be 78 as we continue with his pattern moving to the right. All right, good job recognizing the pattern that Corey used in that last grid. Let's see if we can identify 2 different patterns this time using this grid. We're going to make this a little more difficult and look at 2 things. So first, let's look at the same pattern going from the left to the right. And we'll start at the top of the grid, and we see we have 51. And let's highlight these numbers as we go along here. We have 51, 61, 71, 81. Do you recognize that pattern, boys and girls? Oh, you guessed it. You're too smart for me. We see that we have in the tens column, the first number, we have a 5, so we have 51. In the second column, we have a 6, so we have 61. Then we added 10 for 71. We added 10 more for 81. So as Corey's pattern moves from left to right, he is adding 10 each time. Let's check another column, and we're going to highlight these numbers as we're checking just to see if the pattern continues. Let's go down to the very bottom row. So we have 48. We add 10, 58. We add another 10, 68. He added another 10, 78. Ooh, you guys are so awesome. You are too smart for me. Now, I said we're going to do 2 patterns. So the first pattern, we were moving from left to right. Do you notice a pattern that moves from the bottom to the top? Look at the arrow on the left-hand side, and you see that this arrow on the left-hand side is pointing from the bottom. Hey, let me erase that and make that better for you. This pattern is going from the bottom to the top. Look at that arrow. Now, let's see. This pattern, let's highlight in a different color. Let's go to a nice blue color here. And let's look at our pattern going from the bottom to the top. Now, in the bottom, we have 48. Oops, wrong color. Let's get the blue there. All right, we have 48, 49, 50, 51. Now, wait a minute. 48, 49, 50, 51. Can you tell me what does each number increase by? Let's take a minute and just think about that. Did you guess that the pattern increases by 1? Yes, it does. If you look at your 120 chart, you'll see 48. You add 1, you have 49. You add 1 more, you have 50. You add 1 more, you have 51. Let's check the very far column to the right this time and see, is this pattern also increasing by 1? So let's see, we have 78, 79, 80, and 81. Now, Corey's pattern going from left to right increases by 10. Going from the bottom to the top, he's increasing by 1. So his pattern is increasing 2 different ways. Good job on noticing these patterns, boys and girls. Okay, boys and girls, now let's see if you can solve this next grid pattern. And let's read from the top together. Corey started a new grid. He used the same patterns as he used before. Add 10 moving to the right, add 1 moving up. Corey started by placing the number 72 on his new grid. Can you figure out what number goes in the red square? Well, let's see. Where is that red square? Here we are. So first, let's go up. And as we're moving up, we're counting by ones. So 72 plus 1 is 73. Whoops. And 73, let's use black for this. 73 plus 1 is 74. Now, if we're going up, we're adding 1. As we're going down, we're going to subtract 1. So 72 minus 1 is, you guessed it, 71. Now, the second part of the pattern says Corey added 10 moving to the right. So if we start at 72 at his original number and we add 10, wait a minute, the ones place is going to stay the same. So we have a 2. We're going to add 1 to 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So there are 8 10s. So Corey has 82. But we're trying to get to the red square. We can't go any more to the right. So let's go to the left. If we're adding 10 to the right, we're subtracting 10 going to the left. So 72. Whoops. The 2 stays the same because we're subtracting 10. 7 minus 1 because we're subtracting is 6. 62. If we keep going, the 2 stays the same. 6 minus 2, that's 52. Ooh, awesome job. Now I think we can add ones going up to solve this problem. So we have 62. We're going to add 1. 63. We're going to add 1 more. That is 64. So wait, we're trying to get to the red square. The number that is in the red square is 64. And how do we figure this out? Well, we added 10s going to the right, which also means we had to subtract 10s going to the left. We added 1s going up, which got us to 64. Good thinking, boys and girls. I love the way you do that. All right, boys and girls, now it is your turn. Let's see what you can do. Now, feel free to go back and watch parts of this video. If you get stuck, ask your parents for help or ask your parents to email your teacher to get help on this. Let's read this problem. Corey changed the numbers in his grid, but kept the pattern the same for moving across and moving up. So that means if we're moving up, we're going up 1, which means coming down, we're going subtract 1. As we're moving to the right, we're adding 10. As we're moving to the left, we're subtracting 10. Which colored square should have the largest number in it? How do you know? So in your notebooks, boys and girls, I want you to figure out these numbers. So you have 4 different squares, and I'm going to circle them for you to make them easier to find. You have 4 different squares. We have a purple square, a yellow square, a blue square, and a red square. Which one of these 4 should have the highest number? I want you to find the answer and write this down in your notebook. Oh, good job, boys and girls. I really like your work. We have another problem for you. So on this slide, I want you to pause this video and I want you to see if you can figure out the number that should go in the gray square using the same pattern. We're adding 10 going up, adding 1 going up, subtracting 1 going down. Adding 10 going to the right, subtracting 10 going to the left. Let's see if you can figure out which number goes in the gray square that I just circled.